And away we go. It is the aftermath. Crosstown Shootout edition, live from the Cincy Light Studios. Brought to you by Mio's Pizza, where John Cunningham just walked in and bought everybody in the bar Cincy Light. That's because we have great sponsors, much like Mio's, in Clifton, on Short Vine. Anytime you're in and around the university, stop up, see our good friends, get some great pizza, appetizers, hoagies, you name it. It's always delicious, and ice cold beverages, including everybody's favorite, including John Cunningham, Cincy Light. Tonight's a good night to be a Mio's. Tonight's a good night to be a Bearcat. And I'm live. I was going to go live with Keegan. Keegan's still at the arena getting some work done. Berg hit me up, said, tap in, I'm in. Come get me, I'm in. So we made the call to the bullpen. Berg is in. Aaron's at a family Christmas, so Aaron can't make it. But we got Justin Berg. So we're ready to go. The Bearcats get the victory, 68-65. It was not easy. It was a Bob Huggins, Mick Cronin special. They didn't shoot well, but they found a way. Bearcats get the dub. Berg, how the hell are you? And how was the reggae? It looked like you've done reggae twice, and I think you're 2-0 with the reggae.
Yeah, I think I'll just keep going with that. Not sure why I got no. You know what? I don't know. Did I probably tried it the next year and they lost by 900 at Cintas. So I don't know if it was the reggae. The reggae was just for me, my personal health. It wasn't necessarily to impact the outcome of the game. But I was prepared to start out with the free throw stuff. But when I pulled up the box score, the first thing that I see is that 4 of the 5 Bearcat starters were in double figures. The one who wasn't was Jizzle James. Would you have believed that before the game? I would not have.
No, I mean, if you'd have told me before the game that Jizzle was going to go 0 for 11 and he was going to only score 2 points, I would not have predicted a very fun afternoon in Fifth Third Arena.
A lot of it wasn't fun. So for me, mostly the half court offense against the average defense struggles that happened again. But
I didn't think there was a problem running half court offense. They got what they wanted. They just didn't make the shots.
All right. Well, that's part of it. It's part of doing it.
Of course, but I'd much rather have that problem than you're just standing there dribbling the air out of the ball and not running good stuff. If you're running good stuff, I feel a lot better about things than the alternative.
They ran, yeah, you're right. UC did run some good stuff. I'll give them that. But here's where the game was decided. And I've been saying this since I was a wee little kid. Xavier 22 for 58 from the field. UC 22 for 58 from the field. Then we go to rebounds, basically even. Xavier had 1 more rebound than UC. Then you go to free throws. UC had 4 more points at the foul line, and they won by 3. So I do believe that it has a huge impact because it's also situations where they really need to be able to get some points because they can't make any shots. And there was 4 or 5 times where Day did it, CMOS did it kind of in the second half, where they drove for contact when there wasn't anything there. The refs rewarded that aggression, and UC got to the foul line 26 times, shooting 73% from the free throw line, which if that's where they were overall, I would take that. 19. Xavier goes 15 for 17. I'm surprised they didn't go 17 for 17. But because goddamn, they just walk right up and just pop every time, and we're like 1 for 2. At least give me 1 for 2. Like that's how it feels watching the Bearcats shoot free throws. But
right.
I thought that's where the game was decided on. That when UC they went on some droughts, but they never lost touch with Xavier. Xavier never got up double digits. So I thought that the free throws, not shockingly, if you read my article last week or earlier this week, whenever that was, that's where I would put the difference in the game.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the first half, like that was how they stayed connected. through a large part of the first half because, I mean, they shoot 26% from the floor, 27% from the floor, 27% from three in the first half, but they go 11 of 14 from the free throw line. I mean, when you're looking at, you only scored 30 points and 11 of them come from the line, it was critical. Absolutely critical. Very prophetic of you, Berg.
Yeah, exactly. And so the game started out back and forth. What was it, 11-10 at the first break? And then the next segment, UC started to get some stuff going. They got up 25-16. UC did. And I distinctly remember what happened on the very next play because it's maddening. It happened a lot last year too. UC worked so hard to get a little separation in a game. And not only do they lose the separation, but it's in this like less than the snap of a finger. It seems it's nuts.
Yeah.
The team goes like as soon as like, oh man, Bearcats are up by 7. It's like immediately Xavier gets a 3. So what happened though was 25-16, and Skillings got lost on the perimeter on Swain. I don't know what he was doing. There was I don't know if he thought it was gonna be a ball screen, but he was leaning towards half court, and the baseline was empty. And Swain just took it and went in and got a 3-point play because Skillings was like just got roasted. I don't know. He was too far up there. So it was the quickest 3 points. And then Xavier scored right away after that again and got it down to a 2-possession game, or it might have been it was probably a 4-point game.
They got it to 4 real quick.
Yeah, real quick. It was a 4-point game. And like that was this, they completed it and ended up getting back down 1. And then, then obviously Fremantle made the 3 that everybody knew he was gonna go in at the end of the first half. How about that? He gets 2 3-point. He gets a 3-pointer at the end of each half. He makes the first one. He misses the second one.
Yeah,
he was good though. He's a good player. I mean, he missed that dunk late. I mean, UC had some stuff go their way in this game. I mean, a few calls, maybe a little questionable went UC's way. Xavier missed a few things that they probably should have made. But then again, Xavier got lucky that UC missed a lot of stuff around the rim too. So at the end of the day, again, it all comes back to UC made 4 more free throws and won by 3.
Did you did you see the damn it, I just lost my train of thought. Sorry.
That's all right.
Never mind. I'll come back to it.
Okay.
I'm trying to get some stuff up on the internet right now.
Well, we should go to the second half when Xavier, I think, was up 7. Right? Was that what the story was? When that was tough. Okay, 53,
yeah, I mean, it
40.
felt like we're done here. Genuinely,
yes, yeah. So it was. So let's see, how many did they score in a row? 54, 44. Okay, Jesus. Yeah. So UC scored to make it 41-40. With 14 minutes to go on a 3 by Connor Hickman. Connor Hickman came to play. In this game. He was
massive in the first half. Big time in the first half.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So 41-40. So Xavier goes on a 13-5 run. And let's see, free throws. You got second chances. There was a lot of how did UC not get that rebound? And then Xavier gets it and either scores or gets fouled. There was UC blocked some shots that went right back to Xavier. There's so many of these balls that looked like a magnet where it would UC should have been able to end the possession with a rebound or whatever. Goes to Xavier. But yeah, so they had a tip in. They got back to 53-46. And you're feeling like, man, 7:50 to go. Conwell makes a 3. He's getting going. Jesus. Timeout, Cincinnati, 30-second timeout. You got Day comes out of the game and Skillings goes in. So then UC, Seamoss gets a bucket. Seamoss swished that 3 on that nice. He was coming down around the base, right in front of UC's bench of a screen, and he caught it. Not much daylight on that dude. He's really good at getting his feet set quickly and squaring up. That's something I noticed this year that he's improved on, so he can get his shot up with less space. But yeah, he stuck that thing and made it 50. I mean, that was a humongous shot. That makes it 53-51 with 5:56. So like what I just said about Xavier coming back real quick. UC threw one back their way this time and got back in it really quick with a couple buckets. Xavier scores 55-51, and then we're kind of back and forth the rest of the way until Seamus, he puts UC up 59-56 with 2:41 to go on a little turnaround on the paint. I love that Seamus gets touches 10 feet and in. I want a lot of those. Then Skillings got that dunk. Here's that. Okay, good. So that's what happened, right? 2:41 to go. Seamus scores. Wes uses his final timeout. What were you thinking?
I thought they had
what
two. I thought they had two, and Keegan's like, "That's the last one." And I was like, "No, they have one left." And I looked back up. I was like, "Damn, I must have." I mean, but the runs, like you talked about, like the momentum shifting runs happened so many different times in this game that, I mean, yeah, you'd like to have them, but at some point, like that time, like let's just say he doesn't take the timeout when they're up 7 with just under 8 minutes left. Everybody would have lost their damn mind. And like you said, he takes that timeout. They come out of the timeout and they make a run. So I'm not a big fan of the timeout after a made bucket on your end. I don't love those. But I mean, I'm guessing it was to get the defense set up and get organized, and it worked. So
yeah. I mean, certain things work that you could say were questionable that they would work. Let's just put it that way. So
right.
Because they're only up by 3, and there's 2:41 to go. I mean, you figure.
Yeah.
I mean, they had the possession arrow, so that was one thing. But yeah, so then they come in and they immediately get a steal, and Skillings dunks it to go up by 5, and then they get another turnover, and Day gets fouled and makes them both to go up by 7. So like at the 1:57 mark, you're like, holy shit, they're gonna do this. And then 7 seconds after that, Conwell made a 3, and you're like, oh my God, I don't have any hair here, but I'm trying to find some. Is there any hair? I'll pull this hair out. Jesus, 7 seconds. I had 6 seconds to enjoy that they were up by 7. 6 seconds. So he makes a 3. Swain makes a layup to 63-61. Skillings, and then so then Skillings gets fouled. Makes a first, misses a second. He had to have been in there early, right?
Oh, yeah. You didn't hear the post game?
I did. I didn't go back and look at it yet, but I assume that he probably was.
I said, did you go early? He goes, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
I know.
I went
early. I know. So what I'm saying, yeah. So the point is like UC had a break go their way in this game, and if you're on the other side, you're like, that's lucky, and it is. So cool. All right. So that happens. They go 5. 6 seconds after being up 5, they're only up 3, and then they're only up 2, and they're only up 1. And you're like, he just made what looked like the game-clinching bucket, and 6 effing seconds later, they're only up 1. These are like, this is how. Why do we do this? This has not got to be good. Can't be good for your health. So Conwell makes, of course. How about this? Jizzle didn't have a good game, obviously scoring the ball, but in the first half, he was part of the guys who kept Conwell from even getting a 3-point attempt. So we got to give credit where credit's due, because last year, defense was the question for Jizzle, and I thought he stayed attached really well. All right, so then here we go. This is another Jizzle moment. Also a moment where Xavier fans would be all over Zach Fremantle, because the ball comes into Dylan Mitchell off the inbound. He just kicks it right back to Jizzle before they can foul him, and then they foul Jizzle. Jizzle walks to the foul line, 0 for 11 from the field.
No points. No points. Had not scored a point at this. The most critical moment of the game. 13 seconds left.
13 seconds to go in the biggest game in the whole city. His team is up by 1 point. His program that he's playing for notoriously goes 1 for 2 in these situations. And also, how about this? Seamus up 4, rim that free throw out. I swear to God, and this is how much my mind like deja vu'd it as soon as like the ref tossed the ball to Seos and he was going up into his free throw shooting motion. It flashed into my head a rim out. He was going to rim this out. I promise. I swear to God, every fiber of my being knew it. It happened to Pete. It happened to Pete Michael in the Great Alaska Shootout late in the game. They were trying to ice it, and Pete Michael rimmed out a free throw, the first one, and the second one goes and popped out. So I knew that would happen. But either way, Jizzle walks up. No emotion. Just I'll take that ball, ref, and I'll dribble it a few times, and I'll knock it in. No emotion. Give me the other one. Couple dribbles, knock it in. UC 3-point lead. So at worst, unless like the dumbest thing ever happens, you're not going to lose on this play for Xavier. And it looked like UC should have stolen the ball. It's like the 12th time of the game where it looked like did Day reach in and tip it, and somehow it just like deflected the way the pass was going.
He never really got like his body under control to grab the ball.
Yeah, and it somehow was just like the wind was blowing it a little bit towards out of bounds. And so there's 6 seconds to go. And, 3-point lead, like this should be easy. Whoever catches the ball, as long as they're not going up in a shooting motion, just grab them. But they threw it in, and then it got the guy at the wing had it. Or wait, did Freeman have it pass it to the top and it got passed back to him and he was wide open?
I think so, yeah. I think so, yeah.
Jesus. Oh, my God, like 10 things that the defense did wrong there. And he missed the shot.
Well, yeah, you're supposed Wes was yelling at them to foul, and they just sometimes guys just don't.
How about switch? Because why was Freeman wide open? Like, how could you not switch on everything on that with that much time left? So like they messed up 2 things, and like that Dan Skilling's getting away with it from the foul line. UC got away with it with Freeman missing a 3 that he could make 8 out of 10 in just practicing. So they got the win. And I mean, the post game looked like a lot of fun for the players. And, the presser obviously was great, but I could see in the locker room, just they were elated and I'm happy for them. That being said, for the second straight game against, well, take Howard out of it, but against an average defense, like not an elite defense, a pretty good defense with not, this one didn't even have a shot blocker to be found.
Yeah.
Another really low efficiency on the half court. Now, like you said, I think they ran better stuff this game. What you could chalk it up to this game was just a little bit of a tight clench sphincter from the Bearcats. They felt it, a lot of pressure on this. Like they just couldn't relax and play. And maybe, all of a sudden you start missing a few shots. And they did run some stuff. Like they got Dylan Mitchell some things where he was able to have enough space to just go right by his man and lay it up. Like those were nice moves for him.
Yeah. They didn't have anybody that could guard him.
Anybody. Right. And then I would rewind to Davion McKnight was on CMOS quite a bit. And it's like, we got to get him some post touches. And that's it. We got to, it's like Porzingis against Celtics. Like he put a smaller guy on him. It's just like, I'm just going to go to the post. Tatum, like that's for CMOS. He can do it. He did. And eventually he did get a couple in the paint. It was nice to see, but I feel like that's like low hanging fruit earlier. And I don't know, it just, and if you double
the
him,
only thing I worry about Berg, he's a little loose with the ball in traffic. Like he got stripped once. We won't even talk about the behind the back Showtime Laker attempt, or the 28-foot 3 with 16 seconds on the shot clock and a minute left in the game. That could have cost them the game.
Yeah, those 2 plays should have. You could argue because of what Xavier fans would just say, that Dan Skilling's thing and then wide open for Fremantle. Like, yeah, those should have costed. So those were bad decisions. I mean, there was a combination of bad decisions and just, couldn't quite get certain guys open that you thought Xavier, I guess, give them credit. I mean, they were able to stay attached to CMOS, and for the most, like Hickman got a couple looks, but they were on him pretty good. And then, Jizzle wasn't able to really shake his man as much. Jizzle did have one really good, like if you're watching the game at the bottom right corner of your screen, he in the first half. He drove hard and he kind of turned his shoulder to the guy at the block. And he took like a little 4.5 footer, right? Like a good strong shot. It was just a little off the back rim. And it was like that was a strong, assertive move. And it wasn't like he was taking a lot of bad shots. He wasn't chucking threes. I think just that, like I said in my article, the evolution for him is he's got to figure out a way to get some contact when he's driving, after he's missed his first 4 or 5 shots from the field. And he will. I think he'll learn that.
I worry about Jizzle because he loves the jump stop and then the spin and the mid range. He get it all the way there. Like take it all the way, and like you're strong as shit. You can take the contact and finish at the rim. Like you don't have
Keep
to.
Going.
Yeah, you don't have to stop at 8 feet, spin, and like. Does he normally make those shots? Yes. So am I overly
he's 60% from 2. 60% from 2 this year he is. Yeah.
So, I wasn't overly concerned with the type of shots he's taking, but there are times you're right. Like you got to get downhill and just get to the rim and make something happen. And a lot of times he stops and pulls it back out.
Well, he did early in the game. He did take one in towards the rim, and then McKnight, I think it was McKnight, tied him up. So he did take it in. He just wasn't able to fend off it. So like he's got a level. Like I said, he can level up if he starts getting 4 to 6 free throw attempts a game consistently. All of a sudden, he's an 18, 19 point scorer. Whether that happens this year or next year, that's where he can. And I feel like that's just something that needs to be drilled into him and just keep working on it because it's there. I mean, Day a couple times did it tonight, but for Jizzle to go 0 for 11 without any free throw attempts in the half court, like that's just, sit him down, explain it to him. He's a smart kid, show him plays where other guys got fouled. And I'm sure he'll learn. I mean, like Wes said after the game, to win a game where Jizzle James goes 0 for 11 in a big game like this, that's a good sign that you can win a game. You don't need everything. And then, so if you get 10% more than what you got, you could beat some pretty good teams, it looks like. But
there's a point in this game, Berg, where Dan Skillings, Jizzle James, and Seos Lukosius were a combined 2 for 24 from the floor.
Yeah.
Now, massive credit to Seos because in that, they went from down 7 to up 7, 750 to 150. So in a 6-minute stretch, they had a 17-3 run. And Seos was massive in that. Hit a 3, scored at the rim. He that's what I loved about this game was that those guys kept fighting. And then Dan, Jizzle, and Seos all in different ways impacted the victory at the end. So that's what you have to have because far too often a guy has a little bit of a tough stretch and then he goes in the tank, right? I'm not playing well tonight, and everything goes to shit. That didn't happen with those guys tonight. They kept battling, they kept fighting. And because they all did something in the last 5 minutes that greatly impacted Cincinnati's ability to get to the finish line.
You're gosh darn right on that. Seos was the leader with he was +9 in the game. In 29 minutes he played. So he ends up with 14. And just like against Nova, a lot of shots to get his points. 5 for 13 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3, and then 3 for 4 from the line. So like 3 turnovers, including that behind the back fiasco. So I mean,
what was that? What are we doing?
Oh my God. Like, how do you just drive and get to the block, go like this? The guy's going to jump into him and try to get the 3-point play or at least get the 2 free throws. He did that same shit against Villanova on the left side where he was just like, here, you want to spike this?
Right.
I don't know what that was.
Go strong with it.
Yeah, or just stop off 2 feet and let the guy fly by. But either way.
Well, that's what I mean. Be strong. Like, be strong with your body, strong with the ball.
Yeah.
To make a play. Don't just, it's not the Showtime Lakers.
And and you're down 2 in a huge, like with 2 minutes to go or whatever it was. Unbelievable. So UC had 8 dunks in the Crosstown Shootout. That might be a record. I cannot remember them having 8 dunks against Xavier.
I mean, and it was Lob City in the first half. Now, that was about the only way they could score in the first half. I think at one point they had 8 field goals and 4 of them were alley-oops.
Yeah, and they were 6 for 13 on layups. So there was one early in the game where Dylan Mitchell was underneath the rim all by himself, but they were too late throwing him the lob. And so he mistimed his jump, and he caught it like on the way down, and he tried to put it back up and in, but it popped out. Like, that's 2 points they should have had easy. But or not, that would have been their 9th dunk. UC finished as 1.015 points per possession. So somehow they climbed over the top of that. At one point, they were like 0.855 when I looked with maybe 7-8 minutes ago. I mean, it was bleak. So from your angle on the offensive side, I mean, I understand it does look like they ran some better stuff tonight, but still,
I mean,
it's
here's generally the thing for me, Berg. I don't feel like they took a lot of fucked up shots. Like, I just, in playing it back through my mind, there weren't a lot of like, what are they doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you dribble around, you don't have any purpose, you get late in the shot clock, you got to just chuck something up because you're not really like, you're not executing your offense with any kind of plan, any kind of intensity. I didn't feel like there was a ton of that. And again, it can get easy. Yeah, there was a couple quick ones. I mean, you're not, what was there, 70-something possessions or 68 possessions, 67 possessions, whatever.
Yeah, 67.
I mean, you're not, there's going to be 5-10 possessions. You can always look back and go, I wish that was better. But in just like scrolling through the game in my mind, I never really felt like they took bullshit shots, that they were forcing stuff that, so for me, like that's the majority of like whether I feel good about the offense or bad about the offense. How many times is Jizzle going to go 1 for 11? Like, how many times did Seamus, before he made those 3 baskets late, I mean, he was 2 for 10, something like that, 1 for 9, 2 for 10, somewhere in that range. So just, it's a frustrating day, especially in a game of this magnitude where those guys, and look, I said it all week, I look like a jackass, Berg. I said all week, can't win this game if your best players don't play like your best players. And they didn't. They didn't play like the best player on the team. Aziz played better than Dan Seamus and Jizzle. Connor Hickman played better than Dan Seamus and Jizzle. Dylan Mitchell played better than the best 3 players. Fortunately, that's where your depth kicks in and you're able to withstand some of that. But, and I thought Day stepped up and played really well. His defense was outstanding for most of the night. I mean, look at what they did to Davion McKnight, who really was probably the reason that Cincinnati won, or Xavier won last year. McKnight finished 1 for 3. He didn't even get looks. He had 2 points. He did have 9 assists, but a lot of that was just giving it to Fremantle in the first half and letting Fremantle do its thing. But the guards did really, really well taking X out of what they wanted to do on the perimeter. Conwell didn't get going until the very end, so they held him in check for most of the night. And then Fremantle scores 16 in the first half, Berg, dominant. He scores two in the second half. Give Aziz some love on that one because they did a much better job in the second half than they did the first.
Xavier was 11 for 23 on layups. So that was Aziz and making a difference in the paint for the most part. I mean, and Xavier usually gets their points on UC with free throws and layups because UC always worried about them making threes. That's how it always happened to Mick. But I mean, Conwell's a good player. But the thing is, the reason I felt like UC had a pretty good chance in this game was because Xavier didn't have that one guy that was like, man, they don't have an answer for it on the perimeter. Like that Sule Boom, that cat last year, Oliveri. They just didn't like Conwell's not like he's a good shooter, but he's not like the guy who can do both. He's not like a dual threat. Fremantle played really, and the fact that they held Fremantle down in the second half was huge too. But Conwell got to 17, and Fremantle got to 18. Swain was tough. I thought Swain was he made a difference. He was pretty powerful with the ball. He finishes with 13, 5 for 8, makes all 3 of his free throws. But I'm sure Sean Miller's going to get all in his ass on this. No rebounds for him at all in 24 minutes. But
yeah, and that's a guy they need on the glass.
Yeah. So, but I think that they just didn't have that guy. So I felt like Xavier was never going to get too far ahead of UC in this game, as far as like a big lead, because like they just didn't have that dude. But yeah, man, I mean, I guess they're just going to have to keep working on the offensive stuff. But now they're down to 40.
Got to put the biscuit in the basket, Berg.
Now they're down to 47th in adjusted O. It's like I wanted top 25. I needed top 25. Now they're a long ways off of that. Whenever I see 47 in offense and 9 in defense, I'm like, oh no, that hasn't worked so many times.
I've seen this movie before.
And then when they play an opponent, it's like 7th in offense and 106th in defense. You're like, oh no. So today's Saturday. They got a Friday night game against the Dayton Flyers, who were pretty goddamn impressive in Maui. They were hanging with some big time teams and getting big leads on some big time teams. What was the let's see, that would have been last December. I mean, Dayton last year was the free throws. I think they were 28 for 30. Kobe Elvis, remember that dude?
UC, and
Dayron
had
Holmes.
Nobody that could guard Holmes. Holmes.
Nobody even close. Yeah, exactly. And it sucks that he's injured because he'd be on the Nuggets right now. It'd be fun to see him and Jokic. But yeah, so 82-68 last year was the final.
And Berg being upset tonight. Berg, are you upset tonight?
No. No, I think I'm neither upset nor elate, like excited. They
won the shootout.
I'm pleased they won the shootout, just so I don't have to deal with them losing it. But it wasn't that enjoyable, and I need them to get better on offense. So that's the only thing that's frustrating me. But everything else, I'm cool. Like Dylan Mitchell tonight was nice. I wonder what you think the ceiling of his offensive game could be. Is that about it? Like, do you think he's ever going to be able to just pull up and hit a 15-footer or something like that? I don't know.
I mean, I think he's right in that, like most nights, like 12, 13 points. Like, I don't know how many, 20-point, 23-point nights he has in him, but I think you're going to consistently get 10, 12, 14 from him. And now that he's actually making free throws, as opposed to starting the year 1 for 17, it's a what in the world are you? I don't know about you guys, man. We're just talking about the game. Nobody is harping on the bad stuff. Like, if you watched that game and thought that was aesthetically pleasing offensive game, what do you want us to talk about? They didn't play great offense. We have said we thought they ran a lot of good stuff. Like, they didn't make shots. Like, that's that's just,
the fact that they could get 8. The fact that they could get 8.
Sometimes.
The fact that they could get 8 dunks on Xavier is impressive, because I don't think they only got 1 dunk on Villanova, and it wasn't in the half court. So
yeah, it was
because I would have thought, right? It was Dylan Mitchell, a nasty lefty, but I would have thought that Xavier would have been like, well, look what Villanova did. Here's how you don't give them lob dunks. But maybe Villanova just has better athletes, or I don't know what it is, but whatever I would have thought Xavier's game plan would have been easy to stop that. So that you could argue that was the difference in the game versus the free throws too.
I think the big thing there, Berg, is they just don't have the length. Like, like you can play over top of Xavier because they don't have anybody that's got like that, 6'10" with a 7'2", 7'3" wingspan. So they can't really, if you play over the top of them, they can't react to it and get up to it. So I thought it was a smart decision offensively for Cincy to lean on that, because I don't see how Xavier has the personnel to keep you from going over the top of their defense.
Yeah. That was key. I think that you could argue, if you want to say the free throws were the difference just on the math, you could say that. And if you want to say the fact that UC was able to get enough dunks in this game to sustain them, to keep them in the game, because, man, again, just couldn't make anything from the field. Speaking of making stuff, last year in the Dayton 82-68 victory over UC, Dayron Holmes, 28 points, 10 for 17.
Yeah, he was incredible.
3 for 5 from 3, 7 boards, 5 swats, no turnovers in 34 minutes. He just cleaned the Bearcats.
I got good news, Berg.
He's not on their team. He's not on their team
this year.
Yep. Then you go to the aforementioned Kobe Elvis. What a name. 27 points, 14 for 14 from the line, 3 assists. Wow. Those two, neither one of those guys are on the team. Now, they have plenty of other guys that are on their team that can do stuff. The key is if they don't let 2 guys go off like that, then UC has a chance. And maybe it depends on if UC can get some more pace in that game and not as much half court stuff. Dayton, I mean, they have a great point guard. They like to get up and down. So see whoever can dictate the tempo in that game.
For sure.
All right. So did you get me?
I don't
press
know.
Pass to the Kansas game yet?
I relax. I don't know yet.
I know.
But this is where we kind of go guy by guy real quick. Skillings gutted out 10 points, hit a 3 in the first half. You can tell he doesn't have his stamina really back yet. It looked like he was winded quite a bit. That's the downside of only seeing him in one game before getting to this one. But I thought he gutted out 26 minutes. I mean, I thought he left it all out there, if you will.
Yeah.
But you can tell he's not Dan, like normal Dan Skillings yet.
Yeah. He's just when he has the ball, for some reason, he's can be a bit sloppy with it. But
I mean,
not just with the ball, but also with like just his footwork and balance. But then he'll make like incredible. Sometimes when he can keep his balance, he can make incredible plays. I don't know how you.
That's why I call him Tasmanian Dan. He's just the Tasmanian devil. He just and flies all over the place.
Yeah, there was a. I think when he got fouled on that play, he came in. He almost did like a 360 layup. It was weird. I think that somehow the ball got tipped to him. It was going to be a turnover, and then we ended up getting fouled. That was another thing that went UC's way. But he also made a 3 in the first half that hit the front rim softly, and then tapped the back rim and fell through. Yep. So he hit a 3. Seamos was 1 for 7. Day 1 for 3. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going each guy. Okay, go ahead. Go to the next one.
Let's go down the list. Jizzle, I mean, we've talked a lot about 0 for 11. Hits the 2 big free throws. He did have 5 assists, but negated that kind of with 3 turnovers. It just wasn't a good, it wasn't a good showing for Jizzle, but credit to him for not letting it impact his defense. That is kind of the key thing in college basketball. When you're having those off nights, you can't let it turn you into a frustrated, lazy defender. And I don't think he let it really impact him that he wasn't making shots.
And the last 2 that he didn't make were like 8-footers that rimmed out. They were like nice, solid pull-ups. But again, that's where you got to say, like, look, man, we're in the bonus. Like, we can't, you got to somehow get some contact on that. But
we're in the bonus, and I'm a great free throw shooter. Like, that's what he also has to realize, right? Like, I am automatic from the line. Let's get to the line a little bit more.
Listen, I don't have access to it because I have mostly highlight plays, but the coaching staff should be able to get some Steve Logan, how he used to draw fouls, and he was the master at that. He would ice games by just continuing to get guys off balance and bump into them, and then he would just sit.
Sean was great at it.
Sean was great too, and Logan would just go up to the foul line with his feet pretty close together, take one dribble, bend his knees, and swish over and over again until the game was out. And Jizzle could do that too. So let's just get him that film. Can you just somehow facilitate that for me? Can you ask your guy Lepore to get on Synergy or find that shit? And let's just let Jizzle just watch. Buddy. I know, but can someone get the film for these guys? Logan is the answer.
Michael.
All right.
Hold on, real quick. Favorite online shop for gear. Go to homefieldapparel.com. Pull up Cincinnati Bearcats. Shop to your little heart's content. And then when you check out, you enter code BCJ24 and you get 15% off your order. Nice. There you go, Michael. Taken care of. Done and done. All right. Dylan, 11 points, 4 of 5 from the floor, 3 of 5 from the line, 10 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Just a complete all-around game from your Swiss Army knife. Because that's what he is. He's going to do a little bit of everything for you. I thought Xavier kind of played into UC's hands a little bit in the second half. They played with Fremantle at the 4 more than I thought they would, where they were able to get Dylan matched up on Fremantle a little bit in that second half. I thought that contributed some to Fremantle not getting those easy, little 8 to 10 foot one hand push shots that he makes a ton of. But they kept him uncomfortable. I thought they kind of played into what UC wanted to do in that regard.
Well, didn't Xavier have a guy that transferred? It was a center that got hurt before the year. Traore, I believe his name is. So
yeah, they have made that guy's an average transfer from Long Beach State, and they have made him out to be like he would have helped. He would have been okay, but they've made this guy out to be like, well, if we would have had him, we would have been a top 5 team.
Yeah.
I mean,
the point is though that they don't have front court depth because of that injury, so that's probably why they couldn't play Fremantle at the 5. They probably should have just played him at the 5 more and gone to 4 guards. But
yeah, they played Hughley 12 minutes, they played Hughley 12 minutes, which is a huge plus for Cincinnati.
Yeah, but Dylan was great. No turnovers in this game. I mean, just and as I mentioned before, those drives to the basket and just got layups out of them. I mean, those were like powerful, athletic effing moves right there. And obviously, got that lob at the beginning of the second half. That was nasty. And he said this was the most fun he's ever had in a college basketball game. And, a lot of things went UC's way this year, and thankfully they did, because this win is very important for Wes, for the guys, for the program, obviously for us fans. But, this is the type of thing that at least just having that exhale, because that's all these guys ever hear about. Now they can get on with the season. But usually when they get on with the season, they don't have this win on the ledger. So it's even like extra important for the season. And now you go to the Dayton game, and you're feeling a little better, feeling a little less pressure on you for that one.
Seos with the team high 14, 5 of 3 from the floor, 1 of 7 for 3, but the one was a big one. 5 of 13. Okay. 5 of 13 from the floor, 1 of 7 from 3. 3 of 4 from the line. He did have 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 turnovers, which we talked about. And then, I mean, for my money, that deep 3 was a turnover. 16 seconds left on the shot clock. You take a 28-footer. But when Cincinnati needed their go-to guy down the stretch, Seos played like the go-to guy, which is what helped get them over the hump.
Yeah, that 3 in front of their bench. All cream all day on that one. Again, just setting his feet and squaring up so quickly and getting that thing off. That kid worked on that. You could tell in the offseason. He in a way he plays a little bit like Luka Doncic. He thought he was him on those last 2 plays. Because Luka does that shit late in games. He'll pull from he'll make them obviously in big games. But yeah, I mean, he just a bad first half. I mean, what did he have? 3 in the first half, and then 11 in the second half. Is that right?
3 in the first half, and they were all at the free throw line. He was
Yeah.
0 of 3 from the floor, only took 1 3. So give credit there to Xavier on a good scouting report. They face guarded him and didn't really let him get into a rhythm. But you love guys that keep battling, and that was the theme throughout this game. They kept battling and did not sulk. They didn't get down on themselves. They didn't let a bad shooting night impact their effort. And Seos coming up big late. Aziz, 12 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 block, and just a solid all-around game. I think I saw when he's in double digits, Cincinnati's 10-1 or 11-1 when Aziz
no
gets double
turnovers.
digits.
No turnovers for him either.
And
so
they didn't try to play
minutes?
through him on the block a whole lot, Berg. We didn't see the Aziz catch and dribble post-ups today.
Thankfully. But the two of those guys combined to play 64 minutes with no turnovers. That's key. I mean, that stuff matters. I know Sean Miller after the game was really harping on those 14 turnovers by his team. So yeah, Aziz was good. I mean, he definitely protected the paint. Only the 1 block, but I mean, he was in there. And like you said, he did a decent job in the second half on Fremantle. But Fremantle also missed some stuff that he normally would make, especially a dunk. But yeah, Aziz was solid. I mean, 31 minutes. Is that the most he's played? Probably.
I think that's the most in his time at Cincinnati is 31. Yeah.
Yeah.
Day, solid game off the bench, 8 points, played great defense, 5 of 6 from the line, made a 3, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. In his 22 minutes, especially on a night where Jizzle wasn't at his best. He also had 2 steals. I thought Day gave you a quality 22 minutes and helped pick up some of that slack for Jizzle having an off night.
Yeah, and he was in the game, most of that last segment, I think from about the 5-minute mark down to 2.
Yeah.
No, but there was a long stretch where it was just Day and Jizzle was out actually. In the last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, there was a good stretch where it was just him out there, and Seos and Day was fine. I mean, he was able to get into the paint a few times. He was just a little indecisive. Like he had like a nice easy 8 or 10 footer, or he could have gone all the way to the rim, but then he would pass it out. But he attacked, and the key for him was 5 for 6 from the foul line, 8 points off the pine, and I don't believe no turnovers for him either. Solid Day.
Connor Hickman easily saved the day in the first half, 6 points, hit a 3, got to the free throw line, and then had another big 3 in the second half from the corner where they got him a wide open look. I think it was on the either right or left corner. I can't remember which one. But, if I can get 9 points, 3 rebounds from Connor Hickman on any given night in 20 minutes, I will gladly take that from your bench guard.
Yeah, I want to see what he's shooting on the season now from 3 because he was 40 last year.
Great.
I know he's not getting the same quality of looks at this level, obviously, but I don't know about that though because we did play a lot of teams that weren't at this level. But yeah, he's 9 for 30. He's 30%, but he's a good shooter. I mean, in this game he showed it. He showed it at Georgia Tech. He had a couple key ones there too. So just got to figure it's just going to be a numbers game for him as he gets more comfortable, as the staff can get more comfortable and creative finding him looks, because they did run a couple plays tonight to be able to get him a catch where he actually had time to square up. The Villanova game, they weren't able to do that. So I'm thinking that, as he gets more comfortable down the road, he can be good. He can do stuff like that on the regular basis. He can hit a couple threes, and in certain games, if he has it going, can get you 4 or 5. But he defensively, it seems like he's a little outmanned there at times, but he fights on the glass. So yeah, he was definitely a key contributor in this UC victory over Xavier tonight.
limited minutes for Josh Reed and Tyler Betsy. Betsy had 2 clean looks from 3. I thought he'd hit at least one of them. I thought the one from the wing in the first half looked good, just didn't go in. But then Arrington Page got the score, the dunk off of an Aziz or Seos miss. It was one of those that I joked. This is a nice pass. Seos airballed it, missed it. Page right in his hands, goes back up and dunks it. But he didn't play a ton, but I did think he gave them good minutes on Fremantle when he was in. Just a little bit more mobile, a little bit more active out on the perimeter. So
I think Arrington Page is going to be a player. You know,
yeah, he's just not there yet.
I know he's just he's not. I've seen enough from him to see like I like his jump shot first and foremost, but he's got a lot of things he can do in the paint too with the ball. Tonight, not one of them when he dribbled off his leg, but I don't know what was happening on that possession. He just started trying to drive, and why is he all the way out there? I don't know, but I think he's got some stuff in there that we haven't seen yet. But tonight, 9 minutes, and like you said, he wasn't a disaster defensively. He's just young. He just needs some more seasoning. So, you know, this was a big step for him to play in a game like this, and now they can, you know, just keep coaching him. I mean, you said Wes loves this guy, right?
He does.
Page.
He does for sure.
Well,
all right. I don't have a whole lot else. Do you?
I'll just end with this. I think going into the game, I looked at it from a couple of different angles. If Xavier wins, it wouldn't be the worst thing that's ever happened, and I've lived through much more difficult losses than this one would have been. Number one,
yeah.
And if UC wins this game, it's like, yeah, all right, golf clap. You still haven't won at Cintas, and it doesn't change the fact that you haven't won at Cintas in 100 years. So, like, it's nice to get a home win.
Now,
it's nice to
this
get
is
the monkey
Berg
up the
being
back.
negative. This is
No,
Berg
I'm
being
saying
negative.
not being negative. I'm saying before the game, the outcomes wouldn't have mattered that much in the overall scheme of life. Either or. If Xavier wins, big deal. They beat us when we were number 1. Like, this wouldn't be that bad. If UC wins, all right, you still got to win at Cintas. Like, you still haven't done much. And you also didn't even cover the spread, which won me $90. So thank you, Bearcats. You won the game and won me money.
This is Berg being negative.
Yeah.
For the people that were looking for it and claiming it earlier, this is what it looks like. Look, the thing that you know, there are going to be times when you don't play well. And you still have to find a way to win. So when we have a post-game show after a game like that, we're going to talk about the reality of this team ultimately didn't play their best basketball, but good teams find a way to win those games when they don't play at their best. And that is what we saw from this team today. Now, do we need to see them play good more? Yes, because the talent is there to perform better than they performed today. But at the end of the day, the only thing that really matters is that you have one more point on the scoreboard when the final horn sounds. And Cincinnati had 3 more points on the scoreboard when the final horn sounds. There's no apologizing for winning. But that doesn't mean we're not going to talk about the things that, okay, they got the win, but they need to keep leveling up. They need to keep improving.
Yeah. We're talking about ways that they could get better. We're just, you know, I think they can. I think that they have some low-hanging fruit out there that can make them a better offense, one of which was the free throws, and they got it tonight. And so they won the game. They read my article, and they did exactly what I wanted them to do. And then they also won me $90. So I'm not negative at all. I'm just pointing out stuff about basketball. I love basketball. I'm going to end with this. Chad, ultimate reverse jinx this week, asking the question of Dylan Mitchell or not asking the question, but telling him that UC hadn't won a close game in this thing in like 30 years. He was like, damn, like you couldn't believe it. And so you brought that out there. And, you know, your stat was, I think, 14-1 in games and seven points or less. But if it's 5 points or less, they haven't won any. 5 points or less
I think.
since the 80s. Yeah, since the 80s when that guy hit that
And
buzzer beater, and I wrote about that the other day.
that was a Bearcat Mark stat, the close game stat. So I'll give credit to Mark on that. Since
Yeah, I mean, I knew that.
some,
I love Mark, but I knew that. I've known that every day
I
for
know,
364. Yeah.
But
it's awesome.
I
It's
was just
awesome.
going to say, there's some people that took Mark's stat and used it throughout the week that didn't credit Mark, and we don't do that here. We do things the right way. So
nice. Yeah,
it's a Bearcat Mark stat.
Mark's the man. All right. Well, thanks for having me on. I'm gonna get something to eat.
Thanks for being on.
And just I don't know if I'll rewatch. I guess I'll rewatch it, but it's like the game wasn't that fun to watch. Maybe it'll be a little more fun to watch knowing that the outcome is that they won.
Right. If you watch it back, you'll probably have a better time. And now, because they won, you can watch it back.
Exactly. For the first time in 6 years. Thank you, Bearcats. Thank you, Bearcat Journal family.
Great. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. It was a lot of fun. There you go. Bearcats 68, Musketeers 65. The Bearcats get it done and head to a big one down on the river against Dayton Friday night. We will have you covered throughout the week. We'll have the BBP on Monday night and much more talk about the Crosstown Shootout there. Thanks to Berg for coming on. We will see you next time. That is the Aftermath, brought to you by Mio's Pizza, live from the Cincy Light Studios, right here on BearcatJournal.com.